debt series. The state of Texas is $18 billion in the red, unemployment at 8.2%, more than a percentage point below the national average. The budget deficit has become a campaign issue there. Republican Governor Rick Perry is running for an unprecedented third term. He joins us now live from Austin, Texas. Good morning to you, Governor.
Good morning. Good morning to you, Margaret.
Thanks for joining us. I want to start off on this question of the deficit because it has very much become a campaign issue, and your opponent, the other gubernatorial candidate, Bill White, has raised this as an issue, saying in some ways that you haven't given updates on the state's financial condition, that your record in office because of this deficit existing is one that should rule you out for a third term. How do you respond to that?
Margaret, that's just rank political rhetoric. One thing, we don't have deficits in Texas. We've got a balanced budget amendment. There is some discussion that we'll be $10 to $11 billion short of revenues relative to the last session's budget, which was done 2 years ago, back in January of 2009 when we went into session. But here's the facts.
Well, according to Bloomberg's reporters, just to clarify things here, when I said that number of $18 billion, it's estimated between $18 and $21 billion in terms of a state budget shortfall, according to Bloomberg's report.
With all due respect to the Bloomberg reporters, they don't know what the budget is in the state of Texas, and no one does. They're just people guessing at it right now. The comptroller of the state of Texas is who gives the budget estimate. That's not even out until January of 2011, so there's a lot of speculation out there. The Senate Finance Chairman just this last week said it's somewhere between $10 and $11 billion. So here's what's more important, Margaret. The issue is I have a record of cutting spending in the state of Texas. We did it in 2003 when we had a budget shortfall. That's how we'll do it in 2011. Mr. White, on the other hand, my opponent, hadn't even ruled out taxes. We will balance the budget in the state of Texas, reduce the spending without taxing those job creators.
All right. Associated Press also saying $18 billion there, which is why we brought that up to you,
right,
sir. But
again, Bloomberg and the AP are not the experts on the budget in the state of Texas. That's the comptroller. And I understand all the speculation, and let's see how big we can make it. But the fact of the matter is, our comptroller is required by Constitution to give that estimate,
right,
and she will in January, and we know it's going to be a shortfall.
Well, let's get to the question of job creation there in the state of Texas. As you well know, President Obama has suggested infrastructure is a way to help create jobs right now, or one of the main ways, and asking for that $50 billion in extra funding. I know you have been vocal in terms of your criticism of government intervention. You made a lot of headlines last April when you suggested to some reporters that Texas and Texans might want to consider seceding from the union. Have you changed your perspective there? Would you like to see that kind of financial help to create jobs?
Well, if the track record of this administration for creating private sector jobs is any indication of what this will do, no, we don't want that type of continued deficit spending in the country. Texas led the nation in the creation of private sector jobs all through the decade of the 2000s. We kept our taxes low. We kept a regulatory climate that was fair and balanced. We passed the most sweeping tort reform in the nation so we don't have oversuing. And we continued to fund accountable public schools in this state. That is the blueprint for good private sector growth. I'll be real honest with you. I'm not interested in public sector growth. I'm not interested in creating government jobs. Obama and Krugman and those people who thinks that the 1930s is the model for the 21st century, I don't agree with that. Let the private sector be where the job growth is created, not out of government.
Would you refuse that kind of infrastructure aid?
Well, as a matter of fact, we have turned down some dollars that they've tried to blackmail us with our own money, whether it was unemployment insurance or whether it's this race to the top education money. We don't want Washington, D.C. down here telling us what to do and how to run our state. They're not doing a very good job at the federal level, so please don't come down and foul our states up. But the fact is, that's our money. If they don't put strings attached, of course we take our money back from Washington, D.C. If they would like to cut our taxes where there's not more money going up there, we would certainly agree with that.